What's up, guys? Kelsey here from Off the Bench. We're back live, ready for another week of college football. We're right in the midweeks. We're getting ready for week 7, right in the middle of week 6, right? We're going to look back on Alabama Vandy last week. And, of course, we're going to go into the future a little bit and jump to see what games are on Saturday. Don't worry, we're still doing a show Saturday. The kickoff show will still be live 9 a.m. on 7:30 a.m. 103.9 FM. Jocks Huntsville. You can find us on iHeart. Of course, right here from 9 to 10. If you want to extend that, you can go watch it on iHeart or on the radio till 11 o'clock. I'm here with Pops sitting over here to my left.
Hey, what's up, Kels?
We're just having a fun time here with a little midweek update to carry us along through the week as we're lacking football. I think we just kicked off Thursday night football in the NFL, but we're just waiting for really the college football games to go.
Man, did I set my lineups?
Did you set your lineups? Is Pop's going to have to set his lineups here on the show because we're playing each other?
Oh, man. Oh, well, we'll see what happens with that. Notice you're sporting the Rocket City trash panda jersey.
Hey, and you got the old Lorenzen jersey on your back there.
Hefty lefty from Kentucky, baby.
We are here in the Rocket City, of course, recording this from home base here live in the Angel Share Garage Bar. And it's just having a fun time here on a Thursday, just trying to kick us through the week. One more day until go home time on Friday, and then we can set in for the weekend. So let's get to it, Pops. Last week's game, Alabama Vanderbilt. Alabama finally got their revenge on Diego Pavia. It seemed like Johnny Manziel wanted to be in the mix too, as we saw the fighting and the jarring going on the sidelines from the fans and Johnny Manziel. But the real business Alabama had was strictly with Pavia and a little bit with Vanderbilt, because it's kind of lynched from Pavia and Clark Leah there. Alabama did a lot of things different than we saw from last year. Specifically, they took advantage of red zone opportunities and time of possession back.
I think they controlled that clock, and we'd be sitting there lying to ourselves if we didn't say we weren't nervous during that game. I tell you, Vandy come out strong. Vandy, that big, long 65-yard rushing touchdown by Cedric Alexander. I think it was early in the first.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get the ball back. We miss a field goal.
Yep.
All of those little things as an Alabama fan, you're like, oh my gosh, are we going to get an instant replay of last year? Because, what Vandy likes to do is they like to control that football. You control the ball, you keep Alabama's stars, their offensive stars, off the field, and you control the ball game. And I think that's what they were starting to do. And then we get the strip fumble. And after that fumble, it just seemed like Alabama took over the game.
Yeah, exactly. Justin Jefferson on the defensive side for the Tide, 14 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss for him. He showed up big in that ball game. Of course, what Bama fans were really waiting for in this game was just a single pop to Pavia.
Yeah.
And they got a couple pops on him. And he sat up that one time. I know for a fact they sat up, and he really didn't know where he was at for a moment there. And you could tell as an Alabama fan, okay, the teeth are kind of sinking in now and breaking the cockiness up from Pavia.
Well, you look at this cockiness. I mean, you look at all the pre-game stuff that came out, all the YouTube videos, all the videos that were showing him just walking around and grabbing his what and everything else. And
the Baker Mayfield type play.
And practicing his kneeling plays so he could run out the clock and all those types of things. But, the physicality of Bama's defense, everything from that strip, there was one play early on and Alabama defender stood him up and another one just leveled him, laid him out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely great to see from an Alabama fan perspective. To see really Pavia kind of get brought back down to earth, because we've seen him over the past year, similar to Castellanos on how he took it. But the difference was Pavia could back it up at first. Castellanos finished the backing up.
Yep.
And it's kind of a flip-flop of way here on how this whole sort of thing went through. So real quick, though, we got to talk about Ty Simpson. First interception of the year. He did throw one. Unfortunately, it seemed like he was going to go unscathed.
On a 4th and 1 play.
I think it was, yeah.
Okay, hand the ball off. You've got your big back there. Hand the ball off. run the damn ball.
Speaking of Jam Miller, 22 carries, 136 yards in a touchdown. The first kind of game we saw of Alabama where they controlled the ground game and they could do it they could do it good. We just hadn't seen that all year from the other backs. A lot of young backs we have, including with Richard Young in that regard too,
and Riley,
the freshman. They really couldn't get it going. And Jam Miller gets back. Finally, he's back from injury. Of course, he was back in Georgia, but we really didn't see the outcome until now. So this 136 yards. The big question mark is, can he move this along for the rest of the season?
I think he does. I mean, to look at the tone and the direction of Alabama's offense since he's come back, starting with the Georgia game. I mean, there was a lot of 4 or 5 yard runs in that Georgia game. And then you look at the Vanderbilt game. I mean, he also iced the Georgia game with that catch at the end, that little screen play, bubble screen to the right, and, just scampered down and didn't go out of bounds. It kept the clock running. Nice game for Bama. But if you look at the runs that he had in the Vanderbilt game, to include the one at the end, where everybody says, Bama's running the score up. I think it was a good touchdown. I think it was a good move. He could have like kneeled at the one and the score would have been whatever. But, and the bettors would have been complaining at that point because I don't think Bama would have covered.
Put it over the cover mark. Yeah, it killed a lot of people. I was listening to Josh Pate this week. They had money on, I think, Vanderbilt money line.
Yeah.
So,
they took the points.
So it hurt him, but for other people, it helped in a way. So, what hurt Vanderbilt in this game? They had they didn't really sustain the ground game past halftime, and I think that's really when the tables turned. Specifically, they turned the ball over at key moments. Mm-hmm. They didn't really convert in the red zone too often, and the offensive rhythm just wasn't there from what we saw from Vanderbilt really this past half year, and then of course in the Bama game last year.
One of the things that you want to sit there and think and talk about is. And I know we've had some missed field goals already this year, but Bama's kicker Talty. I mean, those were crucial field goals that he hit in the second and third quarter of that game. And we always get disappointed when we settle for 3, but 3 plus 3 plus 3 adds up. That's all I cared about at the end of that ball game is kick another field goal. We up by 9. It's 2-possession game, but and he did miss one in the game the other night too. So he's missed one in each game so far. The days of
Rickard,
not missing a field goal all year long. I think those are done, unless we, start recruiting some 5-star kicker, but I think Talty and the kickers don't get enough recognition at the, a lot of times, but what he has done in both those games, the Georgia and the Vandy game, were crucial. And we're going to need that this week with Missouri as well. If we do stall at the 30, what's that 45-yard field goal look like? What's that 47-yard field goal look like? 3 points are better than none.
Bama receiving core, of course, Jamie Bernard, 5 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Williams, 6 catches, 98 yards and a touchdown. We saw some good receptions from the wide receivers.
What was Horton's number?
I don't have Horton's number pulled up but Horton has been the most consistent we've seen. Him and Bernard have really been consistent this year.
There was one throw across the middle during this game, during the Vandy game that I really remember with Horton. But the reason why I brought that up is you go back to Ty Simpson, and let's talk about Ty. Is how he's spreading that ball out. Okay, spreading the ball around, and we're also starting to hit the tight end. Okay,
Ben
Cuevas, and I forget the other guy's name. I probably just said the guy's name wrong.
Cuevas.
Yeah. but we're hitting the tight end, and I think that's a big difference in a game when you can hit the tight end on a flat on a pass, or when the tight end will come across, throw that initial block and release, and you can get 5, 6, 7, 12, 15 yards on those plays. That really, really adds up with your time of possession. And that's really, if you look at the last 2 games, Georgia and Vandy at time of possession has been crucial.
Yeah, 100% right. 44 yards for Horton with 4 receptions.
Okay, so nobody went over 100.
No, nobody hit 100 in this game.
But
66 yards with 4
Horton?
receptions. Yeah, 66.
So you had an 80-yarder, another 80. I'm talking Williams had 80.
Williams
you
at
know,
98,
okay.
almost hit that. He almost eclipsed that 100 mark.
You just cannot state. I mean, you've got 3 solid receivers.
He's hitting them
across the board, and he's hitting them all, and they're all getting 60 plus yards a game. That equals wins.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. So Alabama, Missouri moving into this next game. There's a lot of really kind of how it's going to flow with. It's really run game versus run defense. Alabama has had okay run defense to this point. It hasn't been phenomenal. This isn't the days of old where you got Tim Williams sitting up there. Said you have Tim Keenan. Right. And
hey, so I got to go look at JP's comments. You Alabama fans
John
use
Paul.
Alabama every time. John Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, John Paul, thanks for listening to us on a Thursday night. But I'll slap some of your comments up on the screen here.
We brag all the time. Alabama brags all the time. While that is true, John Paul, we can back it up. I think you're an Auburn fan, if I remember right. We'll go into some issues with Auburn a little later, and it's going to be kind of fun to talk about really the issues and really the future outlook of it. But John Paul hit us up here on YouTube. I'm upset because my point spread contest was going great, and Alabama had to mess it up for no good reason. Alabama is the most arrogant team out there. Missouri will be at them on Saturday. I think I read that right.
Yeah. But I think what he's saying is that Missouri will beat Bama on Saturday. If that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you're going to hear about it, John Paul. So, hey, but, it's okay.
So there's one move down a comment that I'm seeing here from John Paul over here. The one at the bottom there. Yeah. Everybody chooses Alabama on here and for every single game.
Yep.
So let's talk about that real quickly. Let's go into that. We don't have a ton of time here on this Thursday. Okay. But here's my thoughts on this game. Who has Alabama played this year? Florida State. Okay. You had Louisiana, Lafayette. Monroe.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you went Wisconsin.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a win.
That's a win, right? And then you had Georgia.
And we are Alabama.
Flipped either way on that game. Okay. You could have flipped either way is what I'm saying on that one. And then, of course, Vanderbilt. You could have flipped either way.
Well, let's talk statistically. Why wouldn't we pick Alabama over Georgia? Georgia's 1-7 in the last 8 games they played.
Well, exactly. I mean, you don't really have the history to back up with with Georgia to go and outright pick that game. This is not the Georgia we saw, 2-3 years ago. Jake Fromm's not at quarterback. Carson Beck ain't there no more. Okay. Matthew Stafford definitely ain't there. Your receiving core, you're not in the days of Riley Ridley back there receiving. You don't have Keely Ringo there to pick off a pass. Okay. This is
Who's
not
Georgia's main receiver, Branch?
Yeah, Zachariah Branch, the USC transfer.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, he's not as established player as you think he is. There is not household names on this Georgia team that I can sit here and name. The defensive line is not the same. The defensive line of Georgia is not the same as it was a year ago, much less 3 years ago. Okay? There are some issues in this Georgia team. They are vulnerable. They are not the powerhouse SEC team that we all thought they were going to be. Really, nobody really thought they were going to be the powerhouse we saw in the last couple of years of Georgia. But this is just not this is not, I can't really say your granddaddy's team, but this is not,
this is not Pop's team.
This is not a regular Kirby Smart team. They're not as deep as they used to be. They haven't been able to fluctuate the portal like we thought. They're not big spenders. This is just we're not in the same era that we saw with Georgia just a couple of years ago.
So I got to flashback to Bama and brag on Bama one more time. Let's talk about the image on the screen with Proctor and what he did in the Vandy game. Okay, so instead of throwing him a pass, he runs for a first down at a very critical time in that game. Do you not think if you're a Vandy defender and you see Proctor back there lined up,
they don't have as big as guys as they have on defense as they do on the offensive line.
Well,
I don't think they have.
My point is, you see Proctor, you see him back there lined up. He's either going to do two things. He's either going to block. He's either going to lead block, or they're going to. And Alabama's proven they'll hand him the ball, and he'll protect the ball, and he'll get the first down. If you look at that, if you think about that play, that initial hit, Vandy hit him low, and then they bounced off of him. Okay. And then he just kind of went around and he got the first down.
So the biggest question we're going into facing this week, does Missouri have a defender that can Albright stop Proctor on the defensive side?
Well, I'm waiting for him to throw a pass. Okay?
I don't think it'll happen. Maybe in the Eastern Illinois game, you could be focusing on Proctor, maybe starting at quarterback. Have we seen this escalate the last couple of days? We've seen him go from wide receiver or offensive lineman to wide receiver, now to running back. Okay, well, I guess you could say fullback, whatever you want to say, right? Could we see him eventually transform into the quarterback at the end of the season? Maybe starting against Auburn, barring some injuries.
Oh, I roll in my eyes with that. But in all seriousness, though, I mean, he's come up, and Grubb, the Alabama offensive coordinator, has put him in key positions at key points in the game. That Georgia game was on the line,
and we were missing something.
Throw a ball to him.
Yeah, we're missing something last year with Sheridan at the OC, and I think a lot of it had to do with this, like a spark, right? Yep. And we found the spark with Grubb here. I don't think Sheridan would have had really the cojones to go and put Proctor out wide to receive a pass, or maybe he was too safe because Sheridan's young. Okay, and I pivot this on the everything about youth, especially in coaching. A lot of coaches are careful. Okay. The difference with Grubb is I don't think Grubb has anything to lose.
Yeah.
Grubb ain't going to get fired. Okay. Grubb and DeBoer have gone back for years. So that ain't going to happen. Sheridan's still young and he's safe with his position. So that's really why I thought last year there was a lot of issues, because he didn't have the cojones to go and try something new. The nerve just was not there. He didn't have the spine in his back to do it. So I think your biggest difference in the offensive side this year, really, Albright, with the production that we've seen from Ty Simpson, we didn't get the consistency last year with Jalen Milroe.
So let's talk about Auburn.
Let's go for Auburn.
All right. So Auburn and Georgia, you already been talking about how you did not think that Georgia was the team to beat this year. You didn't think they're not Granddaddy's team anymore. They're not as physical. They don't have the defensive linemen. Yeah. They don't have the running backs, the receivers. They don't have the quarterback. Okay. So what does Georgia have against a team like Auburn, who I think's given up the most sacks in college football this year?
So the Deep South's oldest rivalry. We're getting into this real quick. So here's my thing about this whole game and my whole situation, and comparing it to is kind of the situation that Florida's in, because Hugh Freeze's job is on the line whether you like it or not. I don't think there's a world where Auburn is going to sit back with another mediocre season while they see Alabama go ahead and compete for another national championship. They're going to lose another Iron Bowl. What is it? 4 straight now? 4 straight Iron Bowls they've lost. They're not going to sit back and wait for Hugh Freeze to get this. So the way I would put this is Auburn is in win now mode. And I think if you put Hugh Freeze's job on the line, maybe he'll have the same reaction as someone like Billy Napier down at Florida. So here's the keys about this game. Georgia does not have the defensive line like I was talking about. Okay, so if Auburn can give Jackson Arnold just enough room to get this ball off and throw it, the biggest difference on this team's, like I was saying, Georgia don't have Riley Ridley back there receiving balls. Okay, they don't have Keely Ringo sitting back there trying to defend balls, but Auburn does. Auburn has wide receivers like Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, the transfer from Georgia Tech, number 1 wide receiver in the portal last year. They have these explosive players on the offensive side of the ball that if they get the ball, last year they were one of the leading teams in the country in explosive plays. Yep. We hadn't seen that this year. It hadn't been anywhere to see. We need to see that this year, combined of what you can have with Jackson Arnold running the ball and the consistency you could have from a quarterback.
In order for you to have big pass plays, you got to have a line that can protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I just made the comment about Auburn's offensive line, allowing like 21 sacks. The number is actually 21 sacks through 5 games.
Yeah.
That's 4 sacks a game, more than 4 sacks a game. And that is one of the worst in the SEC. So, I mean, if you can sit there and say, well, if they can, Well, they've proven so far that they can't. Okay.
Well, that's the whole thing.
And then if you do, Georgia's has 7 sacks, this season, through what, 5 games? Are they 5-0? Yeah, they're 5. Oh, I forgot about
Auburn, they
that.
lost against Bama.
Yeah, 4-1. I mean, you're so used to sit here in Georgia be going undefeated all the way up to the end of the season.
That's the same thing.
But Auburn's got to wake up on the offensive line to allow those receivers, to allow Jackson Arnold to make those big plays.
Yeah.
He's a dual threat quarterback. And if you give enough time and you let him, if he has enough time to run play action, he can fake that run, throw that pass, drop back, RPO, take off running. But you have to have an offensive line that's going to give the quarterback time.
You do, and I understand what you're saying, okay? And really, with Auburn, this whole game is what if.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it. I mean, Auburn is. I heard their stats earlier this week, and they're back in the hundreds on multiple categories in the FBS. Okay, nowhere near the top of the country in a lot of categories this year. So what Auburn is missing is kind of what Florida found last week against Texas. What was the comment? I think I made this on a Friday show, and then I made this comment on Saturday morning as well. Ball, the running back from Georgia, averaging 5.9 to carry, 5.9 yards a carry going into that game. But he was only getting the ball 10 to 12 times a game.
That was the Florida game.
That was the Florida game. Yeah. Obviously, Ball didn't do that against Texas, right? But they ran him more and set it up more for Lagway. Does Auburn have a player like that on their roster that can do those things? I think they do, but they have to get consistency on offense. They got to get the rhythm going. Take your shots when you have it. This is a line game, okay? If the offensive line of Auburn can hold up against Georgia's defensive line, you can get this game, and you can really run the clock out on this game if you can control the time management. Okay, this game is complete what if. Okay, but you've got to capitalize on Auburn in this situation. If you don't, you may be out the door.
So let's look into the future, and let's just pretend that Auburn does beat Georgia this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that do to Georgia? I mean, where does it place them? What does it do to the SEC?
I mean, in a way, it's not as bad as the situation we've seen at Penn State and the reception we've seen there. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's more of a similar reception that we'd see from Texas on how they've fallen this year. Texas has 2 close losses against Florida and Ohio State. I say close. They weren't really they were in a way close.
14-7 against Ohio State. They lost by touchdown.
Yeah, but it didn't seem that way watching the game. It seemed much worse if you actually watch that game. I think it's similar to a reception of that. I mean, I think you do have an imploded SEC, and you're going to see the SEC championship picture is going to be completely blown up. You want to have your 2 favorites in there, Georgia and Texas. It'll probably be Mississippi, Ole Miss, and Alabama leading that race.
So I'm gonna put up a John Paul on the screen again here and get your response to that.
All right. I think if Arnold has a good game and the refs don't mess up, I think Auburn wins against Georgia. I mean,
what's he got to bring the refs into it for?
Well, man, you like to hit on John Paul. I don't know what your beef is with John Paul.
No, I'm playing. I hope he knows that.
You want to talk about the randomized or the real fact of the SEC officiating is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's not necessarily their fault. Okay, they're having rules management. The rules and everything, their pressure is put on their back. Okay, there's deeper issues than the refs, right? Yes, this is a possibility. If the refs do not get involved and hurt Auburn, then they could lead to a victory here. I think it's possible. This is an old rivalry. These 2 teams hate each other. Scary things can happen. This is
Jordan Hare, right?
Oh, this game's a Jordan Hare. Scary things happen. Scary things happen at Jordan Hare.
A lot of scary things like kick sixes and the Gravedigger, and
It's
I can
scary
just 4th
stuff.
and 31. I can just keep
You
naming.
can just
the
name
plays
stuff,
off.
and that's
Yeah.
just in the Iron Bowl. Okay,
Yeah, it's just in the Iron Bowl.
Jordan Hare has crazy things that happen to it in it every year. Okay, John Paul again hitting us up on the socials on YouTube. Be specific here. I think the Miami Hurricanes are the best team right now.
After watching them last weekend, yeah,
I didn't get to watch that game live.
yeah.
The feel of that game live, was it? They played Florida State. I mean, was it
well,
murder ball in a sense?
No, I mean, so 3/4 of the game, it was all Miami throttled down, foot to the throat, and then all of a sudden, Florida State decides they want to wake up and make it a game. And if you didn't watch the game and you only turned it on in the last 5 minutes, you would have thought it was a great ball game all the way through. But somehow Florida State got within a touchdown, and it was an onside kick. I love it when a team does what Florida State did. So they get the ball back, and they need 2 scores. So what they did is they got close enough to kick the field goal. They went ahead and kicked the field goal,
and then went back
went back to the onside kick. So that way they got the field goal and they were within a score. But no, it was dominant football by Miami, except for the 4th quarter. And Florida State just somehow clawed its way back in. And, it was funny watching the Miami players on the sidelines because, they were all smiles and high-fiving and goofing off. And then all of a sudden you see these same players in the 4th quarter like, oh, my gosh, is Florida State going to come back and win this ball game? And, as an Alabama fan, I kind of think we wanted that to happen. But I also recognize that I think Miami, and I'll agree with John Paul here, that they are the best team in the country this year. No question. I think they're going to run away with the ACC. And we'll see if those Hurricanes keep it together. Because if I remember right, I don't have any stats in front of me. Their schedule gets a little light.
They've had a tough schedule so far.
But
they have had a tough schedule.
It gets a little light.
Yeah.
So it's not like I would invite Miami and Florida State to both come over to the SEC. Where teams like Auburn, like Alabama, like Georgia, like Ole Miss, they're all playing top 25 teams every week. But that's what happens when you play in the SEC, the best conference in football.
Do we need to send that message over to Dave Portnoy? Because he seems to believe that Michigan would be at the top of the SEC.
I think he's crazy. As I'm sitting there wearing my probably the lowest tier of the SEC right now.
Kentucky
is Kentucky, and as I'm sitting there sporting my hefty lefty.
Stoops won't get fired though.
Yeah, Stoops
won't get fired.
Oh, come on.
They're content. Man. That's why Kentucky is the all right best coaching job for football in the country.
What?
It is the best coaching job in football in the country. Let me explain why.
Okay.
The basketball team is so good you don't have to win because the expectations are low for football, and most of their money is directed toward the basketball program, which is unique, especially in the SEC, right? So Kentucky is not looking to put money into it. Stoops is going to hang out there for the rest of his career, collect that paycheck. He's got a huge buyout, not to mention his staff is outrageously paid. They're not even going to flirt with a buyout with him. As long as he makes a bowl game, he can take 1 year off a bowl game, and then he goes there next year. He's good. They don't have the money. They don't want to put up the money to buy him out. Is what I'm trying to say. And he's just going to stick around there and keep doing what he's doing because it's worked so far. In a sense. Okay, so real quick here, we're kind of at the midway point in the show, and of course we do want to share a little community spotlight that's been going on and that we have become a part of. So the Kick It for Danity charity, let me restart this. The Kick It for Dana charity kickball tournament hosted by Brooks Robinson. This event is dedicated to supporting Dana as she bravely battles stage 4 breast cancer. So mark your calendars. Saturday, November 1st, not only will this be a great day of community support, but Off the Bench will be going live on site from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Even better, I will be joined here on Off the Bench from that live show with Mojo from WZYP 104.3. We'll be co-hosting it together, and you won't want to miss this. This will be a very fun day to help with, of course, Dana and her fight with stage 4 breast cancer. but just to hang around. It'll be a good, fun kickball tournament. All the links are on Facebook. You can go to the GoFundMe if you cannot make it to the event, or you can register your team, or register a team, or just as a single person. And
they'll put you on a team.
They'll put you on a team. Yeah, you can enjoy the fun with all of us there, as it'll be just a great day. This will be at Kewanee Soccer Field on Patton Road, I think, in Huntsville, over by the Botanical Gardens.
So I think we need to get Brooks on the radio show on Saturday morning. And we have to remind him that last week he said he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But we'll remind him this week he's coming on.
Okay. So Brooks Robinson, he'll be with us Saturday to share the event. And, of course, just give all the support we can to Miss Dana Cove as she bravely fights this cancer she has. So
cancer sucks.
Cancer does suck.
I would say something else, but I won't do it. I don't want to get your video flagged on YouTube. So.
Well, I don't want to press that check mark. This is not suitable for kids.
Yeah. So, but all right. So, Kels, you said you're halfway through.
Yeah.
The show. You see the Oklahoma, Texas graphic up there. Does Superman come through this week? Does the arch hype continue? Does he fall flat on his face? Does he throw 2 picks in the first quarter? Does he throw 2 touchdowns, run for another 2, passes for 300 yards, and all of a sudden he is the best thing since sliced bread again?
He has always been the best thing since. I'm just kidding. He's not always been the best thing since sliced bread. But Arch Manning has obviously had his struggles this year. And what makes matters even worse for Texas, John Mateer is looking to come back. John Mateer, the former Heisman contender, right, is probable for this game. He is looking like he is going to return to play in this game. That's not good news for Texas, as somehow Oklahoma has still been unscathed through 5 games, even without Mateer playing for a couple of those. So there has been an issue with remember that you're on camera.
You what?
Pops. Oh, that's what you were laughing at there.
Yeah,
that's funny.
You got to remember, we are in a garage.
We are in a garage bar live here, and we're having a car take off from Miss. I guess we'll call it Mama Kapowski. Is what we could call her. She is pulling out of the driveway right now. Of course, you can hear. I looked at Dad because he always forgets he's on camera, and he'll make facial expressions to laugh or something like that. And this is when we were just on radio, and he still does it. I'm like, remember, Dad, you're on camera. Anyways, okay, as we get back to the action of what we were formerly talking about.
Superman.
Arch is in for a rude awakening in this game. Oklahoma is one of the best defenses in the country. They're really going to try to force these fumbles, get some picks in here. This is going to be a lot of pressure put on him, and I just do not think Texas is up for this matchup. Red River rivalry, always something does happen, but to the point, adding Mateer back into this fashion, it's just going to boost Oklahoma that much more. Okay, I made a comment earlier in the show about Ole Miss and Alabama. Possibly they're the 2 teams to worry about in the SEC championship. I made my mistake. Forgot Oklahoma's in the SEC now. We're 2 years into this, and I still forget that. Oklahoma is logically probably going to be in that race too, because I just don't I get they have a tough road, tough schedule ahead. But this game right here, I don't think this is one of their stronger matchups.
So Texas goes into Oklahoma. This is at Oklahoma.
That was Red River rivalry. This is played in the Cotton Bowl, if I remember.
Oh, that's right. So neutral site game. Yeah. Texas gets a win. Do they jump back in the top 25?
I mean, yes. If they were to get this win, 100%, they're back in the top 25. But it'd have to be a strong, convincing win.
You see what John Paul says, right? Because the only way Texas wins is if Arch transforms into his brother Peyton.
Uncle Peyton.
Uncle
yes,
Peyton.
That'd be Uncle Peyton. Yes. It's not going to happen. I don't think we're going to see this transformating creature that we all think Arch Manning is going to turn into. He's going to need a couple of years. Sark was, everybody hit on Sark last year because he wouldn't start Arch over Quinn Ewers. We know why. We know why now.
We know why now.
We kind of apologize. The whole country's kind of apologized to Sark for that.
Well, I mean, but I do think, and I want to give, Texas some credit here. I mean, you still got a very talented football team, good defense, good receivers, but you got to think that, and you know how much of a fan I am of Sark. I mean, when we were doing that coaching search, I wanted Sark to be the head coach of Alabama, right? But you got to think that he is going back to the basics with Archie, cleaning up his mechanics, his delivery, talking about reads under pressure.
Yeah.
That's the toughest thing you do as a quarterback is reading defenses. A good quarterback can sit up there, get in there, look at what the safeties are doing, look what the linebackers doing, find the Mike, find the John, whatever defense scheme you run. And they know what the read is. They can put a player in motion. They can make him see. They can see if they're in man-to-man because of the player in motion. Okay, that's something Milroe couldn't do last year.
Yeah.
We started to recognize it at the end of the year. And in the end, Archie just got to don't turn the ball over. Make smart plays. If you're getting ready to get sacked and you're rolling to the right, throw the ball in the dang stands. Okay, hit the other opponent's mascot. You pass it to your Aunt Betty up in the third row or 30th row, whatever I was trying to say there, right?
Hit the cheerleader, play hard to get, something like that.
I mean,
yeah,
do something besides taking the sack, and not to mention the physical abuse that you take when you just sit back there and you take hits.
Well, this is we've recognized that Texas, one of their biggest issues, especially for Arch, is the talent is not the same as it was last year. You don't have the receiving core. You don't have Bond. You don't have Golden anymore. There's a lot of players in this team you do not have where you had last year. You had a stout defense last year. The defense is still not bad this year. It's still playing pretty good, right? But if there's anybody in the country who I would trust more than Sarkisian to not only help Arch, but help the whole Texas Longhorns football team, is Sark and his staff are probably the people I would turn to help any team at any time. Okay, so this is the right team for this to happen to, meaning in a way of if anybody can rebuild them back up and get them back into a situation where they can compete this year for maybe not the playoff, but the New Year's Six Bowl or something like that, right? Sarkisian and his coaching staff would be the ones that could do it.
Yeah, and he's also the coach too that won't sit his players in a big game like that. Let's say they don't make the playoff, right? Oh, and by the way, James Jones, says what's up.
What's up, James Jones? We're happy to have you here. It is a midweek update here. I'm used to doing a show on Saturday morning.
So let's go Florida, Texas A&M.
Let's do it. Florida, Texas A&M. So this is another interesting game because we've seen kind of the rebound that Florida has had since, I guess Billy Napier has been on the hot seat again this year. Jade Ball, running back, has done great this trying to pick this up. He's done good throughout the year. He just wasn't really given the carries. And then they gave him the carries against Texas, and it held out. Well, the only thing in this game that's stopping Texas A&M from steamrolling Florida, though,
is what? Don't say Lagway.
No, it's no, it's not Lagway. It is it's penalties. If Texas A&M finally gets held accountable for, I think they have one of the most penalized teams in the country right here, which is Texas A&M.
Okay.
If they're finally held accountable and it happens in poor spots, this could be a rough game for A&M. If they stay structured, if they can stop the penalties, this team will be fine. I don't see any issues where you can't steamroll Florida here. And if I'm wrong, this game is at Kyle Field. This is in College Station, I think.
It's a home of the 12th man.
Home of the 12th man, and it's going to be screaming in Lagway's ear.
And that's where the Lagway. I mean, just I've watched him turn the ball over so much this year, and he stepped up last week. But I don't see them. If they turn the ball over, they don't control the ball. They lose that time of possession. Texas A&M just does what Texas A&M does. We're talking about teams that we forget about sometimes, and I think this is one of those teams. Damn good football team.
It is. I keep making comments, and I forget how many teams in the SEC are ranked in the top 10. Here's another one with Texas A&M, and I forgot Oklahoma earlier. The stretch in the SEC is going to be insane in these last couple of weeks. We're just getting started in college football season in the SEC. I don't know if the Big Ten can say that.
So John Paul says, let me just throw it up on the screen. don't have to read it, but he's really knocking on Florida's performance. Now they always follow it up from a good to a bad. So yeah.
So I think another thing we can watch out for in this game is how well A&M is going to do forcing Florida to that third down. So if Florida cannot convert early on in their drives, A&M is going to be really stressing them out on third downs. They've been one of the best teams in the country on defense this year with forcing third down failures. Okay, another thing, Florida's offense has to keep mixing the pass and the run. If they keep doing this, you're going to see some success. Billy, keep running the ball, because if you lean on Lagway, we know what happens. But if you lean on Ball and Lagway, the offense gets a rhythm going. So I think that can help a lot. And A&M's going to, of course, they're going to try to limit these explosive plays that Florida is going to try to hit. They've occasionally hit the deep shot passes. Of course, Dallas Wilson back for Florida. It's crazy with injuries when they come back from injuries and your team's at more than 50%. How good your team can be.
I tell you what, here's a stat that I was looking at stats from last year's game to this year's game. A&M returns all 5 of their offensive line starters. I did not know that.
Power of Elko.
Say again?
Power of Elko.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely, when you return all 5 offensive linemen, the continuity that you have there, and then, one of the things that A&M did last year, they dominated that time of possession, 37-22. And that's almost 2-1. And when you're doing that in a game and then you're returning those same 5 offensive linemen, okay, they're going to pound the ball. They're going to run some RPO. They're going to do some play action. All of those things equals a dominant performance by A&M.
Is Elko sitting on a sleeping giant at A&M?
I don't know.
So if you think of it this way, what Jimbo could have done with the resources he had at A&M.
Oh gosh, and the
money,
NIL and the money,
NIL, the money. Was Elko the secret weapon? I mean, Elko was sitting at Duke at the time.
Yep.
And he had Bradley Leonard at quarterback, and they had a great year. So when they brought in Elko, they was the secret weapon or the secret sauce. Really jump the gun. Do at Texas A&M with the resources that he still has at A&M. The money included, the NIL collected there, on top of now having one of the best home field advantages in the country, I would argue. And then mixing in Elko was just his defensive knowledge. And of course, Elko's still, he's still great on offense from what we've seen this year. So I think, I think A&M may be a sleeping giant. I think they're one of the next teams to really pop off and get to that next level.
Let's see what happens when they go through their murderer's row the rest of the SEC schedule. So
that's true. It is the fact. All right. Moving towards this, 15 minutes left here in the show. I think we're going to hit on Belichick, and then we'll save some of the other games. I know we still have Indiana and Oregon to go. As well as Alabama, Missouri. We didn't really finish talking about them. I think we're going to save them for Saturday morning.
Yeah.
9 o'clock. Hit us up here right on YouTube. You can find us right here. If you're in the local area, you can't find us on the phone, or if you're in the car, you can hit us up.
I just realized who James Jones was.
I did too. It's Richie.
It's Richie.
It's
All
Richie.
right. Hey, Richie.
It's co-host Richie on Saturday mornings. You can hit us up 7:30 a.m. 103.9 FM in the car, Jocks Huntsville, or just find us on iHeart. If you're roaming around, don't really want to have YouTube on, something like that, you can find us there. Also, if you want to donate to us, you can do that as well.
Support the show, right?
Support the show. Every bit of that money is going to go right back into the show to help us improve the show and get this thing higher quality. I think we're pretty good quality right now, but it can always be better. I'm sure Richie would agree, as he's just probably sitting there silently stalking us on YouTube instead of joining the show like I thought he would. Anyways, though, so let's move into this North Carolina drama that's following on Bill Belichick. So,
first of all, I don't know what happened to that graphic. It's not what it looked like when I put it together.
I didn't even see
it.
But It's fine. It's a little cut off. All it says he's fully committed at bid buyout options.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That was a story that broke earlier today on his commitment to the North Carolina program. Also heard from insiders at North Carolina that Belichick, if he were to find a media job
Yep.
or another coaching gig before he were to been bought out or fired, whatever you want to call it, the buyout number would increasingly go down. Okay. You're talking from 20 to 30 million down to $1 million. Okay. Which is going to be pocket change to the North Carolina program. If they can get Belichick out for $1 million and then pay the rest of the staff, cool. A lot of that staff is going to jump ship beforehand, though.
That's going to be pocket change to Bill Belichick, and he's not going to. He's just going to be sitting around waiting to get his guaranteed $30 million. Okay. I wouldn't be looking for a job. Oh, you want to hire me? I think I'm going to go out on the boat this weekend with Nick, and so I don't want Nick's not on the boat. He's on ESPN Game Day, but you see where I'm going. He's not going to be actively looking for work.
No, I don't.
Not
think
with guaranteed $30 million.
Exactly.
As part of that 5-year, $50 million deal he had.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I wouldn't put it past Belichick to go out and say he's looking for jobs and then being sleazy in a way. You would see him not look for jobs, and he's just waiting to collect that check, and then he'll go get a media job afterwards if he wants one. He's not going to find a coach.
When you're a legend like Bill Belichick, and he is one of the, if you talk about legends of coaching, I mean, you can't ignore Bill Belichick. Is he a legend in college football? No.
No, not even close.
But and then if you look at his team this year and what's going on, he kind of did what I think he attempted to do what Dion did in Colorado,
he
right? Bring in all of these players, local Alabama boy brought in,
Gio Lopez. Which he was a big, Belichick was a big reason why he decided to go to North Carolina. Talked to, I'm good friends with Gio Lopez's cousin, right? Yeah. And that was a big reason why Gio went there, was to be coached by Bill Belichick. And I don't, it's something else, right? I mean,
how much coaching? I mean, I'm being purely speculative here because I've never been on the sideline at a North Carolina practice, but how much coaching do you think somebody with the statue of Bill Belichick actually does?
Not especially likely a lot. Kids. I think he's mostly making the decisions on game day decisions, but a lot of that I'm sure is delegated to the staff. He's got to worry about, he's mostly focused on picking up the paycheck for his, 23-year-old girlfriend, right?
So she can go out on the boat.
She can go out on the boat. He was literally handing her dollar bills on the sideline. I don't know if this was live during a game or if this was in practice or whatever have it, right? But
did North Carolina put a pole up on the sideline?
No, they did not. They did not. They did not put a pole on the sideline.
Well, a field goal post,
what I'm saying. Well, yeah, they got the field goal post, of course, right?
Post,
but you also, North Carolina's had internal turmoil issues. This has been going on the last couple of weeks. Now you have a cornerback coach suspended because illegal Armand Hawkins improper benefits to a player's family, which is sideline passes. He gave sideline. I didn't know that was illegal. Is that illegal?
I am I'm just don't know what's legal or what's not legal anymore.
I don't either. We can go down the path with targeting too.
I mean, NIL, the family could probably get a car from an automotive dealership, but they can't take a payment from I don't know.
Well, there's a reason Saban owned a car dealership. It's easy to write that off, or even before NIL, right?
So John Paul's hopped into this North Carolina conversation.
Yeah. If I could find it,
I'd said should get the Gus Bus to be their coach, and they might win a few games. You know what? Another thing I'll agree with. I think the Gus Bus is more.
I'll tell you what,
he relates more with college football than Bill Belichick. Okay?
So, but the argument would be because none of these jobs will be finalized to the end of the year. Really in the really late winter, early spring. What if that Auburn job is open too for the Gus Bus? Would he go back to the Plains to coach another Auburn football game.
Man, I hope he does.
I do too. I liked him there.
I think it was good for Auburn football. It makes Auburn football relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Freeze came to Auburn, I think there was some relevancy there too, But right now, I don't know. When you're trying to compete in the SEC and you've got a name like Gus Malzahn, you can compete and you can bring in recruits, and that's a big deal right there. So
yeah, I mean, Belichick's trying to get his gun there in North Carolina. I think this marriage is going to end rather badly here next couple of years. It hasn't been great to the point of how this is turning out for North Carolina. Now, if you wanted to go down that road with Gus Malzahn, I think he would choose Auburn over North Carolina. If he even were to want to get back into being the head coach, the reason he left UCF was because of the NIL and all these new age college football things. So I just do not think that Malzahn would really choose either one of them. I don't know who would be the next head coach in North Carolina. I truly don't. I think it's really a question mark to be had. What is the next step for the program there? Because I think Mac Brown's kind of laughing right now because Mac Brown's sitting there with his buyout check saying, I could have done better than Belichick. I don't think there's a lie about that. I think he had an incredible option there.
All right, so hey, Kels, I'm going to add Richie into this conversation here. If it messes up something, you guys be patient with me for a second, okay?
What's going on, fellas?
We do not hear Richie coming through here. Try it now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are there.
Hey, sorry. First of all, I wasn't invited to join in today. Somebody forgot to send me the invite. Not going to say any names or point any fingers or anything.
I figured you would have just joined regardless. Once I saw me put out the teaser this morning on Facebook.
He just kind of shows up on Saturday morning.
Yeah, you just kind of show up on Saturday. I just figured that you showed up.
Richie, we're on the plane with you, man. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
I've been driving from Indianapolis. I literally just pulled into back in town, so I didn't want to interrupt too terribly much. But I did want to make a statement about Mr. Belichick here that you're talking about.
Yeah,
and my statement is, how good of a coach is he really?
So you're saying the success was largely due to having probably the greatest quarterback ever to do it in Tom Brady in New England.
And a hell of a defense.
Oh, yeah, he also had a great defense.
Yeah.
Led by defensive coordinators.
Good receivers.
I would not say largely.
I would say that the receivers were great. You had Edelman, right? You had Moss.
You had Moss, man.
Amendola. Everybody but Moss, who I just listed, was not a first-round draft pick. They were largely undrafted.
Yeah, but I mean, so you get so Richie's point is valid. I mean, yes. You've got probably the greatest quarterback that ever touched a football, who's a 6th-round draft pick.
Yes.
And the success at New England, but. You got to give Belichick something. When I made a comment earlier about how much coaching is he still doing, and that was probably a large amount of that going on when he was in New England. Okay, but he made game time decisions. Okay, so I'm with you there, Richie. I'll agree with you. Was he really? But he's still a legend. I'm not a New England fan. I can't sit there and tell you how many Super Bowls they've won. We'll have to get my boy Jake Messier up in Stewsbury, Massachusetts to tell me that. We'll bring him on sometime to talk about Bill Belichick and his beloved New England Patriots.
I think if you look back at his history before Tom Brady, after Tom Brady, and the disaster that he has created for himself in North Carolina, I think it's easy to say that he may be the most overrated head coach in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
Right. I think you're going to be able to separate his success in the end when Belichick completely hangs it up, whether it's next weekend or 3 years from now. I think at the end you'll be able to separate his success and his failures in college football to his success to the NFL. I think there's kind of going to be a difference marker there. There's two different Hall of Fames, right? College Football Hall of Fame, ACC Hall of Fame too, right?
Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And then the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I think there's room to differentiate and separate the whole from the drama from Bill Belichick to the right success from Bill Belichick. And I think you could say the same thing about Urban Meyer. He was a fire shoot in the NFL. Complete fire shoot. Yet he was one of the greatest college football coaches in the last 20 years.
Look what Saban did in the NFL.
Well, exactly what I'm saying. And so at the end of the day, there's difference and separations between their college coaching experience and their NFL coaching experience.
I agree, but I think he played himself out in those last few years in New England with the talent that he had, and I think I think when the dust settles, people are going to be able to look back and see his history before and after Mr. TB12.
But do we have Richie back?
No. I can still see him up on the screen, but I don't hear him.
No, he's not coming through. Okay, well, I think we're coming back to time to wrap up. We'll hit with Richie here on Saturday, of course, 9 o'clock. Hit us back right here live in the Andrew Share Garage Bar. We're just going to be talking, of course, the rest of the games we didn't hit on and the news that breaks for the next 2 days.
And don't forget about Kicking It with Dana.
Of course, Kicking It with Dana, November 1st. Charity softball event. We are going to be there.
Kickball.
It is kickball. You are correct. Charity kickball event that we are going to be going along with as we are going to be hosting a show there November 1st, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The Kick It with Dana Charity Kickball Tournament hosted by Brooks Robinson. The event is dedicated to supporting Dana as she bravely battles stage 4 breast cancer. We're going to be joined by Mojo, of course, as well to host the show with us, as it is going to be a fun day of course, kickball, but also kicking cancer's butt is how we are going to frame it. So every share, every donation, every prayer does matter. Let's show Dana and her family the love and support they deserve. So you can go on the Facebook page. Of course, you can view the flyer for the event, and you can also go and donate there. The GoFundMe is listed there if you cannot make it to the event, and you can also sign up. You can sign up as an individual or as a team. They're all at the Facebook page. The links are all there for you to reach.
I'll make sure I get a graphic up next time for the show.
Of course, yeah. All right, guys, that's been the show today. I think we made it 57 minutes. Not as long as last week, but not every week's a race with it. But we hit on some games today. North Carolina action, really drama of what's happened there. And we're going to hit, of course, we'll get to Alabama, Missouri, and Indiana and Oregon on the Saturday show. So be here live with us right here. Of course, you can go donate on the YouTube. You can go donate YouTube to support the show and everything else. All right, guys, follow us at Off the Bench on Facebook. Give us a like, subscribe while you're here on YouTube with us as well.
Help us grow it, guys.
Help us grow it. We'll be here with you guys Saturday. See you then.